Hi, welcome. My name's Sue from createwithsue.com. In the downloaded version, we'll just go and bring in this file, go on to the left and import it using the SVG icon there. And just go there and zoom in a little bit so you can see it a bit better. I want to show you a quick tip on changing the dash lines. In the right hand layers menu, you can see the various parts of the design there. And if you click on these, you'll see that they're the dashed lines there. As I move through the design, you can see it selecting them. In the properties panel, you can actually change these lines. So we will change one of these lines. I'll just go back into the layers panel here. We'll change one of these lines so you can see what I mean. So there's a number of different width lines. I quite like a wider width. We'll choose this one today so you can see the difference. I'm not sure if you can see that. Let's see if I can zoom in a bit more. There we go. So you can see it's quite a big dashed line. Now the disadvantage of having a dashed line, here it is changed to a bit less dashed, but sorry, not less dashed, less space between the dash. The disadvantage of having a bigger dash line or a bigger gap in the dash line is a little bit harder to fold. Use a ruler or something. The disadvantage with the fine dash line is that it makes the cardstock a bit weaker. So another alternative is to use your scoring tool and do scoring lines. So that is another technique. We'll just go back into here, and what I might do is I might select all of these and just group them because it'll be a bit easier to manage. And down here on the bottom left of this panel, you'll see the group icon. There I made a group. And we'll give this group a name so I know what it is. So you can name any of these shapes or images. There we go, we've got the whole group. We've selected the group, back into the properties, and we'll go and select one of the dash lines. I'll choose the same one we chose before. Okay, so that's a quick tip to change the dash lines because sometimes they come in very fine, and as I said, it will weaken the card if it's too fine. So this is the pattern for the Tealight. Also have the areas for the vellum, they're the squares for the vellum, and a heart down the bottom that you can use to embellish the Tealight a little further by cutting some separate hearts out in a different colour. So I thought this was a good option for you to have a play with accentuating those hearts. Okay, we'll send it over to the ScanNCut. So we go to File and Export. Just hang on, just go back in and hide. I'll just close it down. I'll just hide that little heart because I don't want to send that heart at this stage. So the little eye icon will hide it, if you didn't know that. So there's an eye, you can see that down the bottom, that one's gone now, you can't see it. And click the eye back on and you can see it again. Alright. Over to File and export it to your machine. So now there's a warning message, and that message is just saying that we have a hidden piece of the design, which we know. And this one here will send it via Wi-Fi to your machine. And that's gone successfully. Now if you've got a USB, it's just all the same steps. We'll go File and Export, same warning message, so we'll just ignore that. This top one here is the one you would select. And then you would go and find your USB stick down here and save your design to your USB and take it over to your machine that way. And cancel that because I don't want to do it that way. Okay, I'll see you over at the machine. Alright, at the machine now, retrieve the design. Top right was the one we chose. And we'll bring this design in. Now I've put my cardstock on my mat, and already I know that my piece of cardstock's a bit bigger than I was thinking, and I'll just load my mat so I can scan it. It's a bit bigger, so I'm going to delete the vellum bits and cut them separately. I had originally planned to put both the vellum and the cardstock on there. So we'll just scan the mat and you'll see the placement of my cardstock. And we'll go in and delete those extra pieces. So we'll go into the edit, highlight the square, delete. There's other ways you can do this. This is just my way of doing it. And I'll just bring this design in again without going back to my machine. Okay, so next we will select all of the design using these three, and on the right is the one that will select them all the pieces, and you can move your design over with the little arrows. Just lost it for some reason. Go again. Just drag it instead. There we go. So it's placed on the cardstock where I want it. So we'll go OK and OK. Now we'll select the cutting and make sure that your half cut is off. I've got it on auto pressure, and it's actually on auto speed as well. We'll do a test cut anyway. It'll pop in a triangle. You can choose a different shape, and I just move it to a place that's not going to cause me too many dramas, and we'll do that test cut. Here it goes. A quick check. I'll just put the camera back up. I've got a test completed message, and depending on what the cut turns out like, and this one looks pretty good and it's cut the right depth for me, you can either test again by moving that triangle, or you can go straight to cutting out the design. So this is about 6 minutes to cut. It's not too bad. I might speed some of this section of the video up for you so it's not so long. Okay, it's finished cutting now. So peel the design off and use your scraping tool to remove the extra bits. Makes it a bit easier than peeling them off one by one. I love all the little hearts that are left over, but I always wanted to make something else with them, but never mind. Alright, now we'll put the vellum on. Now we've got it fairly clean. Pick up the bits. I'll get the vellum on there. Just put this back up here so you can see again. Okay, go OK. And I'm going to bring that design in again. So I'll go home, delete all the pattern, just retrieve the data again, and top right, and retrieving. And instead of deleting the other the vellum parts, I'm just going to delete the actual Tealights, which is in 2 pieces. So it was quite an easy delete. And go OK. And then scan the mat again. Now this time it might not show up very easily because the vellum's very fine and very see-through. So you may not be able to see it all that well. You can change the backing colours if you need to see it a bit clearer. Just finish scanning this. It is very hard to see the paper, so you can go into the wrench and change the backing colour. It's not much easier seeing it. Select them all, and we just move them up a little bit to the top of the paper. So you probably can't see the paper, but I can just see it. It's about 2 blocks down, or 2 inches down. The mat grid is an inch grid. So I just counted the grids down. And go OK, and OK, and OK, and cut. And once again I will do a test because the vellum is quite a bit thinner than the other cardstock I was using. However, I think it'll work pretty well with its auto selection. So we'll just do a check to make sure. Only takes seconds to do the check, and it's a nuisance if you don't check and it's not right. Just get this little piece of triangle vellum out to check it. Okay, there it is. So it looks pretty perfect, and we can press start. It's not going to take long to cut these squares out. which is good. If I'm using different material, I usually do a test cut. If you're using the same material continually, it's perhaps not as big a problem. Although I have found a variation even just with turning machine off and on again. I've had the odd occasion where it's not cutting the same after it's been turned off. But if you're cutting multiples all in one go, you don't need to test all the time. So we'll just go OK, finished. And I'll just peel off the vellum. It's very hard to see that those little pieces of vellum are on there. If you flip your mat over, it makes it easier to lift them off. See, a bit of a bend will also help lift it. Whichever's easiest. That one's not going to come. So we'll just flip the mat and give it a bit of a bend. And there it goes. Okay. So I'll just put this together here, just in front of my machine. I'm using a fine bit of glue. Put a bit of glue all around all the heart shapes and around the outside. And I think I'll speed this up because most of you probably know how to glue your design, so I'll speed this up. Okay, just need to put a little bit of glue on this last bit. And put this together. Line it up and give it a hold for a minute. Now for the Tealight you need to use a battery operated Tealight, Tealight, whatever you like to call them. And I'll show you some pictures at the end of how that looks. And you can see the big cut lines there, and this one here is my test one with the fine cut lines. I'm not quite sure if you can see that or not, but the big test, I'm not sure if I love the big cuts either, so a bit of trial and error for which ones you like better, but I just wanted to show you that those dashed lines were an option to change and enjoy making the Tealight. There it is in the day and there it is at night.